Hey, I kind of got delayed in my hauling grain thing, but we'll get to it. Either way, I am so sick of picking that grain off the floor. It's just, the snowblower kind of helps, but like, there's better ways. So Buddy had replaced all the drags in his big, I think they're 55 or 75,000 bushel bins, big bins. Some of them are in pretty good shape, before he threw them around with the Bobcat trying to load them. But one of them I'm sure is good. And I want to try and put an electric auger in the shop and use one of these sweeps to come along and save a lot of shoveling. So here they are. We're gonna unload one and kind of see what shape they're in. But they got the drive wheels on the end. Some of them even have all the gearboxes left on them. I think these are all North Stars. If anyone needs some gearbox parts, jeez. And some bins got used more than others, so I think there's a fair bit of paint even on the flighting of some of these. And the sweeps weren't the problem. It was the unloader auger that were worn out, so they went to a different brand. Been meaning to unload this trailer for a month now, so it's good good that I'm finally getting it done. So I think that one has the least amount of wear on it, but this guy has the end plate still on it. So I think I'm going to try and build something out of it. So I don't know, these are probably 25 feet long, just over, somewhere in there. So I didn't really look at them before. There's no bearing on this end. The gearbox is the bearing, so I might be trapped into still using the gearbox, which is not in the world. Except this goes into the floor to your unloader. So for the way I'd want to do it, I need to spin this around and have it up here and mount a motor on it and have some kind of a base on the bottom to steady it. Just go to the farm and get the motor I want to use. These gearboxes are 1-to-1. So I got to gear it down, but I have this weird motor that already has a gearbox, but I have no idea what speed it's spinning at. Well, I found the motor under this tarp, but she's frozen into the ground right now. Need to find a bar. Well, there we go. Good motor on it. 1.5 horses. The gearbox, I don't know. Have to get it inside and unthawed and cleaned up. But I think that's a good start for free. Yeah, we'll let that unthaw in here. It's all jammed up in the pulley and stuff, so then we'll deal with it, put some power to it, see if it's even worthwhile. But I think I'm gonna go sledding. The hell with it. Well, got that motor unthawed, all the dirt stuck off of it for this sweep kind of retrofit, I guess you call it. We have an oil leak with it, but we'll see what ratio it is and whatnot before we worry about changing a seal out. That is some gooey stuff. Focus. Yuck. We don't know what this is wired to 110, 220. So we'll open this up. One of these covers have it, but they always have a diagram on it. So you're 110, 220, and counterclockwise or clockwise. We're going to do 110 just for testing. It's nice and easy, but I'll run on 220 in the shop. Okay, this one is 2 and 3. They're all numbered. So you go to the chart. There's no 2 and 3. 2 and 3. So we're wired to 220 right now, 230 volt. And then on this one, it's not 8 and 9, it's 5 and 9. So we change 5 and 8 for reverse, so it's just on reverse rotation, which doesn't affect us. We don't know what we need it yet. Well, we got a pretty slow reduction here. I guess if you upsize and put a bit bigger of a pulley on it. My breakers in the shop suck so much. I want to spin that auger. I don't know exactly, but 200, 300 RPM is probably about right. I should go get a tack and see what that actually at. But you go and put a 6-inch pulley on this and smaller one onto those gearboxes, and you can start controlling that speed quite a bit. But the motor works. Well, somehow my old antique gauge here got buggered up. So So we'll just mark it, count it, and divide it. I think this is 1750 RPM motor. So it's 10 to 1. So that should mean that pulley should be spinning at 175 RPM, which if we're aiming for 300 on the other one, just a little pulley change should make that happen. Hey, I do got to flip this gearbox around. That'll just be way easier with the crane. I think it's probably 150 pounds, but I'm trying to get the bolts in alone. No thanks. Don't have many sleds in the shop, so trying to push her in so we can build the stand and the motor mount on the cement. So here's the general idea. Mount something like that with legs on each side down to support. You'll butt this up with the 8-inch auger like right here. Oops, so you can see. And mount that other motor, something here. And then we can do pulleys here with a belt. So then we can change our gearing and speed it up, slow it down, depending on the needs. Should all work decently. I see no problems. One thing I didn't notice is this end's extendable. That's why it's double flighted there. So when we're against the wall, we can start, and when it starts moving away from the auger, I can slide that out and grab even more of the pile. I got home from sledding a little earlier than I thought I would. So let's do a little bit of welding. There we go. Down on that end. Get this thing a little more set up. So I kept going back and forth, and I don't know. The other auger is going to come in right here, and I don't think it'll be in the way. This piece is bent. I almost thought about just mounting this like that and doing my feet. It would look dumb, but it gives you a lot more space over here to operate with that other auger. But an 8-inch auger going just into trucks isn't going to be going crazy high anyways. But you know, maybe I should do it up like this. Yeah. Look dumb, but it's going to give me way more room for different scenarios. Okay, so the big thing going on here is the center line where that weight is there, and we're mounted back. So instead of going on the bottom, I did it on this side just to help, but I think what I'll have to do, because I'm going to have the motor on that side too, is the feet will definitely, maybe not that far, but something like that. And yeah, the auger could chew up on this, but we can turn it a little bit, fill 3 loads, and it's not a big deal for me to shimmy it and keep going. So just kind of what we have to deal with. All right, I'm going to overbuild it, and then when we get it all built with the weight, we can trim it back as needed to see how it handles it. Boy, switching to 025 wire helped this little guy so much. Well, it's stable. To line up motors and stuff. Okay, I just tacked that in place just so it won't fall on me. But that's the idea. But before I can align anything, I need to get a pulley on there. So buy some pulleys, and this thing is so damn heavy, instead of any kind of adjustment, I think what I'll do is just an idler pulley here on ready rod for belt adjustment. It's going to be too much of a pain trying to make that whole thing move. It's like 90, 110 pounds. It has some weight to it. But once I find out where I really want it, I can weld it there, and I'll go from this tubing back to this tubing. And that should handle the weight. And getting it lower will probably help with the tippiness too. I think this is all gonna work. Well, I better get my ass in gear on this. Get the motor mounted and pulleys, because I got more sleds coming in. And before I can mount the motor there, I want to see where I'm gonna have the pulley here, and I can build it all to line up with it. So picked up some pulleys today. My math was we're spinning the shaft at 172 RPM. So I'm putting a 6 on the drive In the driven, I think, what did I get? 3.2. So I don't know exact, but we're going to be right around that 300 to 320 RPM, somewhere in there. Which I think will be good for this, and if not, we'll change this guy, make it work. So like that, but straight and on the same angles. So we are spot on the top, and I'm a little bit off on the bottom. Maybe a 16th, but V-belts are super forgiving, so it won't be an issue. Well, I got that bar welded in, and when I shook the shit out of it, it had the tiniest bit of deflection. So I added another support there, and now she's solid. So if you Google belt length calculator, you can get it where you just put the inputs where you'll do center to center, and each OD of your pulleys, and it'll give you a belt length. So do that, see where around what area we're going to be in. So it says I need a 42, which seems long, but it won't matter because we're going to make an idler since these can't move to tension it up. I have to order a belt in the morning, and then we'll go from there. Well, next day I ordered that belt. Should be here in an hour or two. Just wired this back to 220. Went to the farm and grabbed a extension cord. Obviously, we didn't pay extra for the winter rated one, but we can test this out a little bit more. There we go. Figure out if that's turning the right way or not. It's going clockwise. Lucked out, and we're spinning the right way. So, going to town and get that belt next. Well, when I called this morning, they couldn't get a 42. So I said, what can you get today? They said, a 44. I said, do it. Apparently not good enough. But I went looking around. That's a 3.2, I believe. I have a 5. So they'll turn the auger slower, but we don't know how fast we really want this yet. So just proof of concept. Let's get it turning. Okay, with that pulley on, it at least makes it where we can build a tensioner. So I'm just going to have a slide. You'll see. Just wait. Okay. I'll get some kind of a block in here and weld a cap here with a threaded rod connecting it so you can just tighten it to lift it. But let's just see how it works. I need more tension. And this stupid thing quit rubbing. Okay, got it tighter. It is possible that we need dual belts on it. We'll need to speed it up a little. And if we're going faster, we'll probably need dual belts. But the idea works. So I just did the math on that. With that 5-inch pulley, that's 206 RPM. So I don't think that's terrible. I am worried that once it's ingrained, that single belt will slip. But if we can at least use it enough to see how it matches the other auger, we can go with dual pulleys with that setup, or we can change it up. It's New Year's Day. I am hungover. We're trying to do something with this drag. Made my tensioner set up, and yeah, I'm gonna drag this out of the shop. I gotta put some sleds in here. Got the forklift fired up. I'll test this out on the snow. Let it go do a circle out there. Every time I do something with this, I smash this fan guard up. Real smart. Okay. Need some leveler ground here. Oh, there we go. Be interested to see how this works in that shop. Obviously that balled ass tire isn't going to give much traction on the ice. One thing I noticed is if that auger grabs the ground on the ice, it shoves the frame around. That might not be a problem in the shop. If it is, I guess we'll have to anchor it to the auger that's picking up from it. It picks up nice, doesn't flop over anything weird over there. When I set it up, I had boards under this end so the whole thing would be up. It wouldn't catch any little inconsistencies, but if it's not enough, I guess I can just put legs underneath those legs and I'll gain there 2 inches. For that shop where I've been putting grain, ever since I got the box scraper, I've been cleaning it out with that, so it's getting pretty level. I'm in too rough a shape to do any manual labor. But sleds need to come in, move that Tundra back because it needs a motor, so it'll be here a little bit. Little citation in here. Just a carb clean, nice and quick. We don't really know about the Summit. Hey, what's the difference between Summit and Summit X? Is it just the HO motor or anything else different about them? I'm really glad I left all the chores for the day after we go drinking. I'm not doing well. I need to finish and go die on the couch. This sucks. What the heck? It's just getting drug in here. The hell with it. This is pretty fitting for the day. Never saw that piece of wire. Apparently it is a very strong, determined piece of wire. We'll not let it drop down. How did you even get in here? What are you from? I am not in the condition to be shoveling that deck off. There, I quit. I'm done. Hey, I know this drag auger thing's been kind of a drawn out process, but there's a reason. Just brought it over the house. We don't have power into the shop yet, so this is all useless till we get that power, but tomorrow or the next day. The cable's been ran from that one for 2 years. But I'll get things set up. Get that other auger in here. Get that drag unloaded here. Oh, makeover. Move this truck. It's only 0, so it might go with no ether. That's a terrible start. Shit. I think it tried. Well, even with that truck in the way, I can set this here and I can bring that other auger at least in the building so I can wheel it around by hand. I sure hope I was smart enough to put a block of wood under the hitch so it's not frozen in the ground. We'll see. No block of wood, but it wasn't frozen, so that's a win. I've only ever seen another Speed King in Alberta, and it's like 3 miles from here. I lied. There was a block of wood there. So yeah, this thing's dual purpose. Need to take this PTO shaft off, and then I can't remember. For some reason, I thought we were twisting these belts down to here. I guess if it runs backwards, untwist them. It has a neat just change your angle if you had an actual engine on it, and tighten and loosen the belt. Someone put a little time into that. Not me, but someone. Now that I think about this, we had it twisted when we had a gas motor on here. Then I put the 5 horse. And I have it geared down real slow because it's feeding a grain cleaner. So, well, we'll see. That thing weighs 1 million pounds. So other problem, once I catch my breath. Whew. Okay, going to semis, this problem occurred. If you're backing straight in, you can only get the back of the trailer full. In the wintertime, it's a nightmare. So what I'd like to do is either make a spout kind of aiming forward so we can just get, this trailer holds like 1,100 bushels. If I can get 850 on it, good enough. We're not hauling far. But if I can't get enough out of a little spout on the top, this auger is just abnormally narrow. So I could probably do a spout coming out 4 feet. Fuck, it'd probably have to be 6 feet out. And you could back up beside the damn thing. And then you'd have no trouble getting a full load. Because, yeah, that wheel to the center, I don't know, 4 feet if that. Now this thing I had on a trailer, an 8-foot wide trailer, and there was lots of room on each side of the wheels. It is narrow, like it's sketchy to tow. But once I have power, I'm gonna take one load out to get the pressure off the bales, get the bales off, then we'll set up our drag. And we'll make it work one way or another. Oh, used the last ether and it was on its last revolution and it finally popped off. We'll let these batteries charge up. Alright, right at the lights is the center wall. We won't need a huge spout, but if we can get, so we have a big mound in this next hopper going down, I think that'll be enough weight on the drives to be able to do some work, I think. And using this truck trailer because the other trailer is 4 or 6 feet longer than this one, so that much more you don't get in the front. We'll make something work. Back pondering on the best way to get that spout kind of, extended. Because that's about as far back as it goes. And that divider wall is at these lights. We need some weight on the drives. I was thinking, I should get just like a tin slide going forward, but I don't want the weight. So maybe I was going to buy a plastic pipe, and then I was thinking about an old auction buy from a few years back. I wonder if that would work. So this came with some chaff collector system, and I just wanted the, can we see? Dust collector there for the grain cleaner. So I got it for like 80 bucks. But this might work just right. It's even lined with steel around the corner. There's kind of a weird build, so it has to go on the long ways first to flow nicely. Well, it doesn't have to, but it'd work better. But I measured it, it's like 8'1" or something. It's supposed to be an 8-inch, and it looks beveled at the top. You gotta find a way to mount it, though. Oh, I should have brought a grease gun up here, too. Like, if I can have a peak in front of that bar, like that weld, that'd be enough weight. The other option is just a piece of plastic pipe cut in half, butt it up there, the chain around it, and just a slope, and I can have it half open most of the way, so if you plug it, overfills. I don't think this is the right way to go. Close. Maybe we'll cut it down, mount it, try it once, and when I get mad, rip it off. There's some fancy engineering. I don't have hopes for this, so I don't want to invest anything into it. But we'll try it. Well, that was fun trying to mount that up on these bars. My straps are too short, and they're just a backup. I put some self-tappers in there. Yeah, I think it's too flat, and it's going to build up. But on the bright side, this auger does have a nice shake to it, so the whole time we'll try it. I'm sure I'm going to pull it off and do the other plan. But I need to start filming stuff like from a far camera view too. Up there trying to screw that in, and a damn bird comes and lands on my shoulder, scares the hell out of me. Almost fall in the damn hopper. Stupid. My cord's a little short. I have all that, but I have no ends for it. And I have some shorter ones somewhere else. I'll have to go find them. Well, I guess someone found this with the lawnmower, which is a miracle. They don't really mow much lawn over here. Well, going to the city tomorrow, I guess I'll buy some more of those ends. They're 20 bucks a pop, though. Adds up. Every time I show getting grain out of this shed, there's drama. People just don't understand how it works in a building like this. So he was saying, park this truck in at a 45-degree angle under the auger. I said, how are you going to get a 60-foot truck at a 45 in a 30-foot building? Now, this building is 42, but the walls are curved. You got about 30 feet of useful room with a semi. And he goes on and say, that truck ain't 60 feet, and it's a 170-inch wheelbase, you can just tell, and 70s trailer. This trailer's a 91, and I paid $2,000 for it, and I hope that hurts your feelings. I just went and measured the wheelbase on it. It's 200 and... I should really remember this stuff if I'm going to put a video on. It's a 240-inch wheelbase on this truck. And the trailer, well, the whole rig, it's not 60, it's 55 and a bit with the hitch slid all the way forward. Still not getting that sideways in a 30-foot shed. And still end up under the auger. I don't know if any super truckers out there drove a 79 Star with a set forward axle, but it has the biggest turning circle I've ever seen in my life. Like our 88 Star will turn in half the circle of this. But enough of that. Back to the more interesting side of everyone throwing their ideas out of how to fill in here. And the spout. And I'm not saying you're all wrong. You only have the information I give you. But my plan was if that could throw it, 4 feet forward, I'd get enough on the front. And everyone says, well, just throw it out the side and back the truck up alongside. I like that idea. But if I can't throw it 4 feet out the front, I sure the fuck can't throw it 8 feet out the side. So in the future, well, depending how this works, but in the future, I think the side thing does have some merit there. I think it's definitely something to look into. I don't think keep it simple at the start. There's not a lot of bushels in here, 5,500 bushels. But going on that, you might think, why put all this effort into the 5,500 bushels? Next year I'm seeding, in my rotation I do a lot of oats. And there's a good chance I'll have 45,000 bushels of oats in here. And I'd like to have a proven auger setup that'll work with that better than what we've done in the past. Because we just shoveled lots and it sucked. So if I can work the kinks out of this electric drag auger here, working with that electric auger into the truck, then next year do a side spout or something like that. That would work good. Oh, and everyone's constantly talking about tile. That tile pipe would work great for it. But America, the whole world doesn't tile every field like it's a pastime. No tile around this area. Calm down. Out here again. Had Buddy come over last night and wire in this panel. Except the one breaker was no good. So he has a whole box of them someone gave him, he said. So take one. So I'm going to throw that in and then we're going to test it. I wasn't prepared when I came over here. So I had to go, the farm here has like no tools. Look at this fancy guy. The 6-in-1 with all the bits. Well, threw that together. I think this guy's the light. Oh, look at that. I should put a switch in. And one of these, that one, battery charger going. I don't know. These guys are all wired to the switches. Let's give it a try. Look at that. See if this stupid spout works. Not well. Oh, hey, that kind of works. Not great. Aww. Okay, it does not work because that plugged up. Yep. No one saw that coming. And my little fuse just couldn't handle it. But yeah, too flat, plugged up. Totally understandable. More important is the auger turn, the wiring's good. That's what really counts here. When Buddy wired this, like, why are you running those stupid fuse style switches? Because those were like $20 a pop on sale or something stupid like that. And any new styled ones were like $120 a piece. Okay, for shits and giggles, to try it one more time. I took the screws out of the front and pulled it down so it has more angle. And the auger did have a little bit of old chaffy stuff that the mice have ate up that might have started it to plug. Well, broke out the meter. 124 volts on each line there, and at the end of the plug. Hey, we're moving. I think what happened was there must have been a bunch of fluff or something that kind of got jammed up in the top. And I flipped the breaker in the other shed. but it is rolling now. Not far enough forward, but I might as well put some weight in here because it's raining right now. So if I venture out there with no weight on these drives, I'll be stuck anyway. So put a little bit on, see how it goes, see if it trips any more breakers. Well, this might just work. Like, this hopper isn't full, but there's definitely enough weight on it to be good moving around in the snow. Well, I'm gonna haul this load in. Really curious about how many bushels we get in with just backing in and throwing it to the front. Hopefully 850-ish. Bring her back and try a couple things. Just to entertain a few people, I guess. So this is a really good example of, it sounds so simple. Just do it this way, do it that way. You know, drive in front-wise. Like, I'm right up there. Doesn't work. I thought it'd be closer than it is actually, but like, that's with the hitch slid all the way forward. But none of it is really a concern, luckily, because I just dropped off that load and I had 21 ton on, so 970 bushels. The trailer right full normally holds 1,000 to 1,100. That's good enough for me. Don't need to screw around with other stuff. Call to win. Well, should we see if this stupid setup works? I think I'll have to go to dual belts on here. I actually already bought pulleys for it, but thought might as well try it. We can play with speed from there. I can return those pulleys before I use them if I want it faster or whatever. And I need more cord because I'm barely making it and I gotta run too. Come on. Uh-oh. Nope. Okay, so that's just a horse and a half. That's just what was on that gearbox, so I thought we'll try it. I do have a 5-horse around, but I just lifted it off the ground. See how this grain moves, if it flows to the auger okay, or yeah. I think we just need more horsepower. See if I can find a 3-horse, or I'll strip that 5-horse off that other little auger. But I think you get that spinning a little stronger, it's going to be pushing up right there. Oh, is that smoke? Okay, let's unplug it. Electrical smoke. For all we know, that motor was no good, and that's why it was throwing off whatever it was on. So we will address that problem. Always going to be growing pains. Seems to be the census on the last couple of videos is it is better to, you know, pay 100 grand for some hopper bottoms than it is to have growing pains like this. But I cannot stress it enough. I do not care how you spend your money. You do whatever your heart desires. I don't think about you at all. People think I'm really worried about their opinion. Okay, hiccup number 1. Gonna be hiccups. This motor either just straight up isn't powerful enough, or it already had problems. Because I just got this out of like a scrap pile essentially, and it worked, but maybe it doesn't work under load. So it's a horse and a half. I have some 5 horses around, but I went and measured just across the bolts. They're like 5.5, and this is like 4.5. So it's a different bolt pattern, probably a different shaft size. So I need to find a 3-horse would be probably perfect in this body. So it'll be a Princess Auto thing. Worst case, I suppose I could just buy a different gearbox. If I bought a gearbox like this that goes onto my 5-horse, I could accomplish the same thing. So we'll price each out and see. But the spout's working perfect. We're getting 21 ton on, so 970 bushels. So enough weight to the front. I can only fit another 60 bushels, 70 bushels on the trailer. The little it ran, it's pulling and pulling that grain up. So I think with a little more power, I think this is gonna work. Of course, there's going to be growing pains. And I think we'll have to go to double belts. That's a small growing pain. But we'll do a city trip and see what we can figure out here. So I need 4.5 across on the far side. So these guys are the right motors. $429 for a 3-horse. If you ask them for a deal, they'll usually give it to you. Like, say, oh, the price went up so much. They'll knock $50 off. This is what I have on that other auger, but those holes are like 5.5. And they are $650. Cheap ass me wants to risk it on the 2-horse. That's on sale. But I think I'll just be coming back for that 3-horse in a week. And the worm gears are way cheaper. But they say somewhere they're only rated for a horsepower, so like max torque 720 inch-pounds. That's not going to be enough. Well, half horse. And the stuff I need is $160 for 25, but if I buy the 2 ends, and this one's on sale for $75, cheaper. More BS, but cheaper. Just to buy bare cord of that stuff is $5 a foot, which works out to $125. These 12-footers were on sale for $31 with ends. You can buy 12 feet with ends cheaper than just the ends. So 2 of those will be way cheaper and the same length. They knocked off $86 for just asking nicely. Just be nice. Say the prices went up a lot. Any way you can help me. All right, here to change this 1.5-horse motor out with a 3-horse I got. But of course I didn't take the motor off to know the shaft size. Not that I have options when you go buy the cheap motors. It is what it is. So we're gonna pull this off and we're gonna hope it's the same shaft as the new one. But the new one is a pretty small shaft on it. But even if there's a coupler in there, I've never been inside one of those, we'll be able to make it work. Looks promising, not a real big shaft in there. So, we got a 7/8 shaft and the new one's a 5/8. I looked it up. There is like a speedy sleeve shaft adapter, but how far away that is, we'll find out. That's what I need. This company's seeing if they can track one down. Well, since that bushing obviously isn't going to be a today thing, I went and put ends on this rest of this extension cord I had, so both cords can run the full length. And I might as well put the double pulleys on here and see if that belt will still work with them, because I went up a size. And see if I need to order just one more belt or a pair longer. Well, there we go. That belt I have is like perfect. I bought dual idlers, but at least when they're new, I won't need them. So I'll order another B44. So I went from a 6 drive and a 5 driven to a 7 drive and a 5.5 driven. So this was 206 RPM, give or take belt slippage. And this setup's gonna work out to 216 RPM. So works for me. The little bit I saw, it seemed like it was a fine enough speed. You don't need it to just rattling away. And no matter what, we gotta match it to the auger speed to get them so they work together. You can't have one overflowing the other. So anyway, I couldn't get my hands on the part I wanted, so I had to make a little, it's not ideal because we have a really tall, skinny keyway with this setup. So yeah, that's, it'll have to do, you know? If it gives us troubles, we'll do a better one. But that's where we are. Okay, not a fan of how much keyway we have hanging out. I wish there was more, but we built that to be the same height, the bushing to the top of the keyway, as the other motor would have been. So I guess we'll bolt it together and see what happens. All right, that was a bitch to get it lined up. I put the bushing in first, and I couldn't get the keyway to sit in properly because it's so tall it wouldn't flop. So I had to tape it to the shaft, hanging out, get it started, and then get in there with a pick and pull the tape off. We got it. And I don't know if I showed, I had the twin belts. And I don't know if I have it spinning the right way, because that pulley goes clockwise, but it's going through a gearbox, so I don't know if it reverses or not. Let's find out. Plug in! Thought I had a real problem. There's a neutral on that I had so I could change the pulleys. But it's rotating the right way. Right here. Because when this was in a bin, you didn't want this one running all the time, just when you clean up the bin. Oh, come on, work for me. All right, got in there running. Someone was saying maybe that grease is just terribly thick in that gearbox now that it's not in my shop, and that's a possibility. And wherever it's rubbing real bad, probably doesn't help at all. Okay, we have proven the motor works. Now to make it all work together. The drag auger's running. Lifted up right now. Might take some playing here. I'll just set up on a board over there. The oil in that is super thick, grease. So I'm just want to let it warm up a bit. But this part I like so far. Trying to walk the whole thing this way, and the auger is going, or the drag's going faster than the auger is for sure, but we can speed the auger up. I almost need a back shield. It'll still overflow. I just need the auger going faster to keep up. Well, that's going to be a problem. Go faster, auger. Yeah, this guy's really trying to walk. So finally was pushing up too much and kicked out. But it was working. So if we speed this, put a bigger pulley on the bottom on that motor, I can see this working out. Okay, we got a 3.2 pulley on here, double belted. There's a bunch of pulleys on this one. Unless these are the same. No, they're not. So those are hard to change. We're just going to worry about that one. We'll see if we go up to a 4.5, that's definitely going to speed it up some. So with a 3.2 there and a 5 here, we're going to ignore everything else. We're just going to pretend it's a final drive. It's 1100 RPM. So we need faster. So with a 4, let's figure that math out. So if we put a 4 there, we'll have 1380 RPM. And if we put a 4.5, we'll have 1530, I think it was. 1550, that's what it was. So I'll go see what I have around. I have some, but I don't know. I don't know how to keep a lot of pulleys like that on hand. Oh, other option. I have a 5.5 and a 7. Oh, if I spun those around, I'd speed up even more. I'd slow down. Smaller driving big slows you down. So if I flop those, this whole thing will slow down, and then it would probably draw less on the motor too. So yeah, right now this is running at 218 RPM, and it's moving pretty good. If I flop those, I'll be down to 135, which might be too slow, but I can at least be running it without running to town for parts, and then I can play with it more as we go. Hey, pulleys are flipped. Mount is secure. Let's try it again. Still a little fast. Might have to slow this auger down. Oh, look at that. 2 of them. 4.2 inch. Perfect. We are on the home stretch with this drag. The drag is working. The auger can't keep up with it. So I can speed the auger up. I can slow the drag down more. So I looked around for what I got for pulleys. This is a 3.2, and I have a 4.2, so I'll speed it up a little. There is multiple gear reductions on this, so I don't think it's going to be enough, but it's on hand. Let's try it. So yeah, we go right there, down to the gearbox with another big pulley, and then when up at the top, it has a reduction with the chain too. So anyone who hasn't dealt with these, they're nice once you get your main piece, because you can swap different pulleys on it. But you take the 2 bolts out that are holding threaded in. You put them in these threaded holes, and then you can push it off. And now I get to put it right into this one, onto that shaft. So yeah, then you don't have to buy different sized holes for every motor. You can use the same one and just swap the pulleys. Be careful putting them back on though, because they don't send you long enough bolts. So you're only, when you start pulling, you're on like one thread. So really easy off the start. Well, it's noticeably faster, so that's a good start. I don't know if it's fast enough though. I think I need faster. It's not a bad problem. It means it's going to load faster than I was before. The grain getting in the pulley's bad, so I think I need to make a little deflection shield and one off the back too. Really keep the grain up where it should be. But the whole point, isn't it nice, quiet, low dust, no shoveling? I don't have to fight to get auger motors running. I don't have to fight to start a tractor. There's a little bit of BS in the speed match, but a lot of positives once it's set up. So I think maybe if I go to a 5 on there, this should go pretty easy. But we'll see. I'll run it here for a while, make sure that it doesn't kick out eventually, because it is piled up pretty big here. I can also shut it off for a minute and turn it back on. Another bonus with the electric. That instant torque, you can shut an auger off right full, and it just fires back up. For the gas job, you spin the belts and try not to stall it out. And there we go, full. Leaves like 4 inches behind in average, and nothing, just a shovel over as you go. Dug into the ground once, no big deal. Was a bit of a hump here, so I just lifted it up and away it went again. Well, it's been not crazy. It's been cold, minus 25 for 4 or 5 days straight, so we just stopped the grain haul. But it's warm today. It's windy as all hell, but it's warm. We're gonna fire back up with a pulley change just to speed this auger up a tiny bit. And that drag wants to move this frame around so much, it's pulling so hard. I had parked the truck on the one beam there, I guess. I don't know. Stand, foot, whatever. But I'm going to give it a nice big pad to park on, because I think that's something that's never going to go away. But I took 2 loads out of here the other day with no hiccups at all. So that was sweet. Nice to see this thing working. Growing pains, but working. Oh, no! Good thing I wired a jumper into the truck. There, now the truck is boosting the welder. There we go. Originally was a 3.2, was way too slow. Had a 4.2 around here. Worked, but could be just a little bit faster. And this is a 4.5. And that thing ain't moving around. That truck parked on it. Keeps up good enough. Never going to be perfect, but you know, there's not a lot to do now but sit and watch, which I guess is a good problem to have. Isn't that nice? So to tell how much torque this auger actually has, because I'm sure someone's saying like, oh, pound pegs in for this frame or make it heavier. I knew it was going to do this. It was going to hook that auger, and I looked away for a second and it did. But it has enough torque that it rotated the whole frame with this truck sitting on it. So there's some power there. The truck weighs 10,000 pounds. Not all of it's on there, but you know, reference wise. But now I just got to step it back, and I got to try and guess get it so it'll clear that end wall when it goes by, so I only have to move it once. It is too heavy for one person. But I got a crane. 2 people could drag this around. But I just got to go back just enough so I can walk it without being in that grain, and then I'll push it all forward. Well, set up, but I'm just a little short on cord, so I got this chopped up one. I'll just buy a male end, and it'll be just enough to get us there.